Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad you're here today.
We're so excited to have you here today, where we're going to be talking about how you can use Pinterest with your AttractWell account to increase your traffic to your website, to your blog posts, and of course, to increase your volume of leads. We are so excited to chat with you about this strategy here today. This is a totally free call that we offer every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. This is for you if you're a part of the AttractWell community, but it's also for you if you are just out there in the world working on putting your best out there for your people, and maybe you want to know a little bit more about a platform that can support all of your endeavors online. We're certainly thrilled to have you here. Those of you who are here live on Zoom, say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from, what kind of business you have. We're always excited to learn more about the incredible people who join us here on our weekly calls. So yeah, go over and introduce yourself. Speaking of introductions, if you haven't done so already, please do also join us on our Facebook group where we are streaming this call live as well. If you'd like to join us live and you're watching this in Facebook, be sure to head over to attractwell.com/office hours and you'll be able to grab the join link to hop on. And of course, you'll be notified of everything that's coming up here. I do have a resource that we've created for you here today that we'll be sharing shortly. You did receive that in your email as well if you're on our list. We do have a lot to get into though. So today we are going to talk about how Pinterest and AttractWell work together, after of course giving a brief overview of how Pinterest works for business, just in case you don't know. And then we do have some live work reviews as well in the second half of our call. So we're going to do everything we can to just get all this Pinterest stuff into the first half. And then of course, we'll be dedicating our second half to our awesome people here who have requested live review and support. So if you have questions, feel free, go ahead, pop those into the Q&A, keep that chat going. We're thrilled to hear from you. And Greg and I are going to pop out a video and get into these slides that I've prepared for you here today. And then we'll get into some show and tell. I'm actually going to show you how to get yourself set up with Pinterest for Business, and connecting it to AttractWell on today's call. So here we go. Welcome. All right, so today we are talking about getting started with Pinterest and using AttractWell to do so. So today we'll talk about how Pinterest works for a business like yours. Now, if you're here today, you have an expert business or an information type business. That means you are a coach, a practitioner, a consultant, a service provider, a course or content creator. If you have an expert business and you sell what you know, this is how we are going to approach using Pinterest here today. We'll talk about what you need to get started, and we will discuss a pinning strategy, which will all be included in the checklist that Greg has just popped into the chat for you guys. And for those of you who watch the replay, we will be putting this in the description below the video. And then, of course, again, as always, the second half of these calls is dedicated to live help and Q&A. So we will have that space available there. If you signed up for a live review, go ahead and let us know that you are here. And of course, if you are looking for help along the way or you have questions, please make sure those go into the Q&A here on Zoom so that Greg might see them, and of course so that I can easily get to them once I'm out of all of this showing and telling. All right. Now, again, if you're watching this from our Facebook group or you're watching this as a replay, please do join us on a live call in the future. AttractWell.com/office hours is where you're going to want to go for that. If you would like to work together live, as several folks have signed up to do, and most do every single week, AttractWell.com/work review. That's where you can schedule some time, dedicated time for us in the second half of one of these calls to work on whatever it is that you're working on, whether you're just getting started with us, you want a look at your strategy or help tweaking that one thing on your website that's just not doing the thing that you want it to do. And if you'd like to skip all those steps and have somebody do this stuff for you, we do have a team who is qualified to help. You can go to AttractWell.com/concierge to schedule an exploratory call with them and, of course, receive a quote for your project. All right, now head over into the chat and let me know, do you use Pinterest? Is this something that you use personally? Is it something that you have maybe begun to use professionally, looking to generate leads for your business? Kind of curious to know. I don't personally use Pinterest. I know that I got an account on it many, many years ago, but certainly never used it regularly. I have familiarized myself quite a bit for this training as to how it works, but it is not something that I've personally used in a significant active basis over time. So I'm very curious to see where you guys are, where you stand with that. This is actually something, all right, so Lydia uses it personally. Awesome. I think it's a really great tool to use personally as a way to collect your ideas. If you are a creative person, or even if you want some more creativity in your life, or if you just really enjoy sort of a visual layout of ideas. But yeah, all right, so let's get into this. So Pinterest for a business, if you have an expert or information-based business, which again, I believe everyone here does, this is how it works. So you are going to be creating boards, right? Now, boards on Pinterest are kind of like bulletin boards that you would have up in a classroom or in your office, right? Or even a vision board, right? So you have a board and you pin, imagine push pins into a cork board, pictures and articles and notes and ideas, right? You're going to create, curate, cultivate boards that contain content that is relevant to your ideal client or customer's needs. This is stuff that they're interested in right now. It relates to goals that they have, right? This is very similar to, say, the keywords that you may have done some research on to publish on your blog or explore more effective copy for your web pages. So the content that you pin to these boards is going to be a mix of your content and content that others have published. Now, if you're just getting started with this, and especially if you are newer to blogging, then this is going to have a slightly higher percentage of other people's content, which is totally fine. Now, your pins that you pin onto your board are then suggested to casual users of Pinterest who share your similar interests. And then they get to be exposed to your profile where they see that you have these boards that maybe have collections of other things that they might find relevant or interesting, right? And those pins don't just show up on Pinterest. They can also show up in search engine results, meaning you don't just need to rely on the Pinterest platform in order to get traffic. This stuff goes to Google too, which is pretty powerful when we're thinking about the traffic that we want to generate, right? We need to get traffic in order to get leads. And in order to get traffic, we either need to pay for it or we need to show up in the right places. And if your audience is a Pinterest user, then oh my gosh, this is the right place. All right. So those interested people, they're going to click through those pins because let's just say, for instance, you are a wellness coach and you are helping busy moms to get, to live healthier, to maybe lose some weight, whatever their goals are, right? But mom is busy. She's looking for 30-minute meals. And so maybe you have a board that is on your Pinterest account. And these are all 30-minute meal ideas. And so this is an absolute gold mine to your ideal person. So she sees one and it's for your, I don't know, paleo meatballs or something like that. And she goes and she clicks that because she thinks it looks good, sounds good. She clicks it, she arrives on your blog post where you have placed that recipe. Right? So she clicks through, she goes to your website, she reads your blog post. Maybe she sees that you've created a shopping list for a whole week's worth of meals like these that she can download. All she has to do is put in her name and email, right? So she can sign up for your lead magnet. She could even follow you on social, right? And then, of course, that is now your lead. So our whole goal in all of our endeavors in gaining exposure to our brand is to get as much of the right targeted traffic as possible in front of what we have to say, so that those who resonate with it most and are ready to do something with it take action. And the first action is for them to become a lead. They sign up for the free thing you offer on your website, right? And then on from there, you get to nurture them as your funnel is hopefully designed to do, or as you might be reaching out and connecting manually. All right, so pinning using Pinterest is such a brilliant way to drive traffic to your website, and it's totally free, right? But do keep in mind, this is really important. This is a long game, just like SEO. This is a long game. If you want to rank in the search engines, If you want to gain exposure on Pinterest, you have to show up consistently over time, right? It can take up to 6 months to see significant results. But we actually just got off a call. I did a very similar training to this to another audience of ours, and a member of our community, she actually started using Pinterest, didn't even know all of the things I'm sharing with you today, and created a couple of pins. And she has, over the last 3 years, it's almost 3 years ago that she started doing this. She's gotten 3,000 leads off of a single blog post. Incredible, right? And the results that she started getting were just a few months after she started putting just some of these things in place. And she even told me on our last call that she didn't even have all of these things in place that I'm going to share with you here today. So if you take nothing else away from this, know that if you just do some basic stuff, it can work and it can work really, really well. All right, so if you are blogging, then you're going to want to integrate this into your blogging strategy for best results. Because Pinterest is a search engine that relies on a continuous flow of fresh content to deliver its users, and those are its casual users, right? You want to make sure that you are using your blog content as that fresh content that they are able to deliver to their people. All right, so here's what we need to get started. First, you need a Pinterest business account. You could create something entirely new, or you could log into your existing Pinterest account and create an associated or linked business account. There's no wrong way where that's concerned. You just got to make sure you have a business account. Once you have that, you can claim your AttractWell website on Pinterest. Then you want to be able to enable rich pins on your content. And this is what's going to make it easy for someone who visits your blog post, if they are a Pinterest user, to pin your post, right? To pin your post, and then obviously that's going to show up on their boards, their friends will see them, and then of course you get more of that organic reach that Pinterest is able to offer. You will need some blog content. If you just have one blog post, that's a beautiful place to start, right? So if you would like to get started with this, write a blog post, and then let's get on with this, right? And then ideally, but not necessarily, you don't have to wait for this to be in place to get started, because you can always edit your blog content later. But you do want to make sure that your blog has some way to collect leads, right? So you need to be linking to some kind of offer where people can opt in to become a lead on your site, because isn't that the point of traffic, right? The point of traffic and exposure is to convert leads. So you do need to have some kind of lead converting mechanism that you're linking to from any blog post that you create. All right. Now, why? Again, this is a search engine. We need lots of content to feed users. That means the more fresh content that you share, the better Pinterest will like you. So if you're posting a new blog post every week and you're creating content that points to it, and you're doing that consistently, Pinterest's algorithm is going to see you as an asset to its platform, because you are part of what's creating new stuff for its daily users to engage with. So your content is your blog posts, and they need to have some way to convert those leads, like I just said, and that of course is your funnel. So you would be linking to a landing page or a page with a form from any of your blog posts with some kind of a call to action for someone to get access to a free thing you're offering. All right, now let's talk about how we get this done, your strategy for Pinterest. Now, the first thing you're going to do with a business account is create a couple of boards that are focused on keywords for your audience. These are going to be the same keywords that you're focusing on for your blog content. These are the same top-level keywords for your brand. Okay? Now, that's essentially like high level what we're looking for here. You can get a little more niche, a little more specific. So for instance, your entire blog might not be focused on 30-minute recipes. You may be focused more on paleo diet recipes, but you have a collection on a particular Pinterest board for 30-minute recipes that also happen to be paleo. That's going to be beautiful for your ideal person, right? But here's the gist. Less is more, quality over quantity. It is better for you to have a couple of really well optimized boards than a whole bunch of boards that don't make sense, right? Focus on building a couple of really great boards. And of course, if you see an obvious need to fulfill, and it would be a great thing to create a new board for it, you could certainly do that as well. But you don't have to spread yourself thin here. You can go deep with a few to start. All right, you're going to pin to these boards, meaning you're going to make a post on Pinterest to one of these boards 1 to 5 times a day. Good news is the Pinterest algorithm does not look down on using post schedulers. You can use Canva for this, Tailwind, which I have mentioned on the PDF download that you guys have. Tailwind is probably the most popular for folks who are like Pinterest VAs and people who manage Pinterest accounts professionally. So if you wanted to invest in a social media scheduler, or if you're already using something like a Tailwind, you can incorporate Pinterest into that. So you're going to pin to these boards, and what you pin on these boards is going to be a mix of things, because we're pinning 1 to 5 times a day. So if you're only making 1 blog post a week, we're going to need to come up with some more stuff, right? So what you're going to post here is your content, and that will include your blog post, right? So you are going to be posting about the blog that you released this week, definitely more than 1 time per week, I would say. And essentially what you would want to do is you create a blog post, and then you create 3 to 4 pins for every blog post you create. And they're just going to have a slightly different mix of copy and creative or image, right? And you're going to pin those at intervals. So if you're releasing 1 to 5 posts a day, and you're doing this on a daily basis throughout the week, then that would mean that at least once a day, you are pinning about this week's blog post, but then you're maybe pinning some other stuff as well, or maybe you're pinning some of your older posts, right? Maybe something that's related to another board that you have on Pinterest. But just make sure, because you will be posting about, so you create a piece of content on AttractWell, right? Every time you create a piece of content, a blog post on AttractWell, 3 or 4 times you're going to be taking that to Pinterest. Make sure that every time you do, the image is a little different and the copy is a little different, right? So modify those images, use new copy so that you've got something fresh. Pinterest prioritizes fresh content. Now, it doesn't necessarily differentiate with the URL and where it's going, where your blog post is concerned, or even if you're using some of the same visual elements, or even some of the same keywords in the copy that you're using to create your pin. It just needs to be different. It can't be a carbon copy, right? Because if it took carbon copies, that would look like just a whole bunch of copy and paste spam in the suggested feeds for Pinterest users, and that's no good for the platform, right? So they really want you to create things that at the very least look new. And then you can do this other thing, and I put repin in quotes. If you're a casual Pinterest user, you can repin something from one board to a board that you have, right? So that's maybe like I'm over here in my friend's 30-minute meals board, and I'm like, oh, that one recipe looks really good. I'm going to repin that over to mine so that I have it for later. That's a fine thing to do if you are a casual Pinterest user. But if you are a Pinterest business user, you want to do something slightly different. And that is to take someone else's content, you see that it's pinned somewhere, you see that it's got a lot of engagement, it's got a lot of likes and repins, etc. So you found a popular piece of content that is related to the topics, the keywords, etc., that you are targeting for your ideal customer. You're going to click through that pin to where it's linking to. So maybe someone else's blog post, for instance, and you're going to create a new pin. Right? You're going to pin from their site directly, because that repin that a casual user does, that's not fresh content. But when you create a new pin by not repinning, but just clicking through and originating a new pin, you are, in Pinterest's eyes, you are looking at fresh content, which again, they favor, and you want them to favor you. because you want the algorithm to push your content to the top. All right, so get your checklist. We are going to go through as much of this as we can together as quickly as we can. We got about 10 minutes before we want to start getting into our Q&A. So go ahead and grab that checklist and let's go get started. I'm going to head over first to, let's see, where am I on AttractWell? Hold on just a second. I think, here we go. I have the checklist. Let me see if Zoom will let me share. Here we go. Okay. So here's our pinning with AttractWell checklist. So first things first, if you do not have a custom domain for your AttractWell account, this is something that you're gonna need to do sooner rather than later. This does click off to an article, a help article for AttractWell about how you can get your custom domain set up. It is best for you to do this, okay? You don't wanna have your attractwell.com/whatever because the algorithms in Pinterest don't really love replicated websites. And until you have your own domain name attached to your AttractWell account, you do have, in essence, a sort of a replicated website situation. So yourname.com, your businessname.com, etc. Go ahead and get that done. And all you really have to do, the short answer to this is support@attractwell.com. Then you want to create a Pinterest business account. So I've actually created a personal account here, never used it, no idea what all's in here. But here, I'm going to go click here for accounts and more options, and I'm going to convert this account to business. So I've signed up for a new account. I'm going to click convert to business. And here we go. You can see there's so much more you can do. I'm going to upgrade. And here we want to be clear on what we are. So most of us are service providers, right? So we are coaches, we are consultants, right? If you are primarily a content creator, if you're a social seller, then this may be something that you consider placing here. There are some folks on AttractWell who focus on the e-commerce side of things. You may want to choose this, right? But I'm going to choose services provider because that's going to apply, I think, to the majority of us here. So you want to put your name in here. Jane is the account that I'm going to be using today. So she's the holistic mama, and she is, let's see, and this is a replicated site. We don't have a unique domain for Jane. So we're just going to go attractwell.com/Jane L. Okay, so next, our goals here, this is going to be to generate more leads. Oops. Generate more leads. We want more traffic. And I want to create content on Pinterest to grow an audience. Yes, those are the three things I think most of us are going to want to do. The focus of our brand for Jane specifically, Holistic Mama, is health and fitness. And I am not sure yet about advertising. You can do paid advertising on Pinterest. We are definitely not getting into that today. All right, so once we have got that set up, we can create a pin or we have some other options. But let's return back over here. So we've created our Pinterest for Business account. Now we need to claim our website on Pinterest. So let's go take a look at that. This says that we need to go into our Pinterest account. So let's go to pinterest.com. And over here, we're going to go to settings. And then let's see, where do we need to go? Claim your website. All right, settings, claim. All right, let's go check that out. Claimed accounts. That's what we're looking for, claimed websites. Now, and again, we're following this article here in AttractWell, which I have linked right here in this step, okay? So this says that I'm going to select add HTML tag and copy it. And then I'm going to go to the customize my site section of AttractWell. And under advanced options, I'm going to paste that into analytics. All right, so here it is. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to head back over here to my dashboard, customize my site. And then down here at the bottom under advanced options, I'm going to go because I do already have a bunch of analytics stuff in here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and paste that in and save. Coming back to Pinterest, I will continue and then put in my website address. And verify. And I think there was some playing around with this that I did previously. Sometimes it doesn't work right away. And I think part of the reason why is because I am using a subdomain here and it's not my own personal. So this is going to work differently for you. If you have your own custom domain, you're not going to see this problem. Anyway, so you'll have this all connected up, and sometimes it might take a second as well just to get the analytics set up. But again, because I don't have a custom domain to set up today, you're not seeing that working properly. That'll work differently for you. Now, the next thing that you want to do is allow rich pins on your AttractWell website. Now, what is a rich pin? It is the ability for you to have a little Pinterest little widget guy show up on top of your photos to make it easy for people to pin those to their personal boards in Pinterest, right? So that is going to be in the same article here. We scroll down here, it's this Save It button. We're going to be introducing this script to one of two places on our website. It's up to you. Now, if you go back down here to where we just added that code for claiming our website on Pinterest, you can also paste this code here. Now, essentially what's going to happen is if you put this here and customize my site, any of the images that show up on any of your website pages become pinnable. They have that sort of save this to Pinterest button on them. Now, you may prefer to not have those on all the images on your website, but you only want to have them, say, on your blog posts. That's what I would do if it were me. So in that case, I'm actually going to come over here to my blog posts, and I'm going to find one that I already have. Let's see, we'll go to, oh, this is literally why that was happening. Hello. I was putting that in the wrong account. Okay, so if you go over to your blog posts, you can actually come over here and down in the bottom under advanced options, you can add your custom HTML tag. You're going to paste that script. And again, that's this guy right here. And what's going to happen is, and let me maybe add an image here to the top. I'll just add this one so that we can, you'll see how this works. When we go to view this post, you see the save right there? That now pops up when you hover over it, right? So again, you could have this on your individual posts, or you could use this in the customize my site part, where this on any image, if someone hovers over it, they would have the ability to save that to Pinterest. So that's a matter of preference. Next thing you want to make sure that you do is get a Canva account, because that's how you're going to be creating images for your pins. This is really important. Of course, we talk about Canva a lot on this channel. Make sure that you have one for your paid. And then you want to make sure you have a post on AttractWell. Now, I'm not going to be able to go in and show you how to create a bunch of boards on Pinterest, but I am going to show you how you can get started with creating your first pins for a post in AttractWell. So here's one, Feeling Drained, Discover the Best Supplements for Women Over 40. This is the link to this blog post. And I'm going to go back over here to Pinterest and I'm going to create a pin. And I'm going to go next. And now I actually need to create some images for this. So let's head over to Canva. And let's get started. So we'll go create a design. I'm going to go to Pinterest pin. It's a preset. And they also have these great templates. Check that out. So this is going to be supplements for women over 40. So I'm going to type in supplements. And there's no templates here for supplements. So let's just type in wellness for women. And here we go. I'll grab this one. And maybe I'll change this to supplements. I'm just going to change the verbiage here. Right? So you can play around with this, make it look the way you want it to, right? Use the templates that already exist to make your life easier. And what you can do is I'm just going to go ahead and download this. And then I'm going to head over here to Pinterest. You see if this is, okay, there we go, we're downloaded. All right, so now I can go and grab that URL, or sorry, that image from my downloads. And this is where we're going to want to give it a title, a description, and then of course, here's our link. You would want to have a board here to tag it to, and then you can tag your topics. Again, treat these like keywords that you would on your blog. You can schedule this for later, of course. And what you would do is you would, going back to Canva here, create different versions of this. So maybe you're not going to use that anymore, but you're going to use this one, right? Maybe you're going to adjust this a little bit, right? You're going to change the image around, but it's still similar, right? And you're going to make another version of this image. And that's where you're going to come back to Pinterest and create another one of these, right? So for this one blog post, you're going to repeat this 3 or 4 times, and you're going to schedule them to go out over the course of the week. And then, of course, you would be able to go in with other people's content and fill out those as well. Or if you have older blog posts, you can, of course, be factoring those in here. Just make sure with each one of these unique ones that you create, these unique pins that you create, that the title, even though you're still going to your blog post here, even though you're going to the same link, the image is slightly different and the title is slightly different. The description is slightly different so that it looks new, feels new to Pinterest, although you are still sending them to the same place. If you feel like you're getting stuck on that, do we have a solution for you? All you have to do is put in the content here and say, I'm looking for 3 fresh titles that I can use to pin this to Pinterest. What do you recommend? I'm looking for reword this description 3 different ways, right? Use Write with AI to your benefit so that you can get that done quickly, all right? And that's essentially it. And remember that what you're going to be doing with the repinning other people's content is not the same as you would pin as a regular user. As a business user, you want to make that look and feel new to Pinterest, which means obviously the most ideal way to do this would be to maybe have a Pinterest browser plugin so that it's easy for you to generate pins from different URLs that you're on. But you're going to click through popular pins that already exist, and you're going to create a new one to add to your boards. All right. And I do have your best practices here, as well as what it looks like for you on an ongoing basis to follow these strategies. So let me get in and answer a few questions before we get into our live work review today. And of course, if we have time, I'm happy to go back in and demonstrate a little more. I realized as I was going through walking you guys through that I was not in the Jane AttractWell account. And that's why that claiming the website thing wasn't working. It should have worked, but that was user error. That was on me. All right, let me see. Who do we have in line today? I have Helena and Karen. If you are here and ready for your review, go ahead and pop your hand up and we can get to chatting. And feel free, you guys, as you have more questions or if there's something that you kind of want to see about what I've shared with you today, go ahead and put those into the Q&A and we'll do our best to make time for all of that on today's call. Hey, how can we help?
Hello.
Hi.
Of course, my computer just froze.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us? Are you there? Can you hear us?
Oh my gosh.
There
Okay,
you
I don't know
are.
what happened. It just froze. I'm like, that sucks. Okay. Okay, apologize for that, you guys. I wanted you to just kind of run through my website. There's a couple things that I was struggling with. I got so much perspective when you went over it last time. But there are two
Okay.
little areas on my homepage that I didn't know if I could make the button shadow, even though I know I've done it before. For some reason, I couldn't seem to do it. Like, oh, see, shadow. Oh, you know what? I think it's on the and then at the very bottom, if I scroll to the super bottom on my lead magnet, and maybe it's the cell phone version. Yeah, that. How can I make that one shadow?
Okay. So you want to make sure you're in the element editor, and then you can select the shadow. So this is the element editor here. So this is the content. So this would be like your words and pictures, and then the elements are going to be like this. So I'm in the element editor, and now I'm actually just selecting that button. And that's where
Oh,
you
that's the wrong one,
can,
just a heads up, but I can.
oh, right, got you, this one. Okay. Yeah, so then you can increase the shadow there on that.
Oh yeah, I need to add it. I hadn't added it yet, but okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, so
Perfect. That
that's,
explains it.
yeah, that's where that goes.
Um, okay, and then I would just love to get your perspective. I need to, like, this weekend, I'm going to get my sales page up, like the sales funnel that I'm gonna do to, I'm gonna actually throw my lead magnet out. And so I just wanted your overall opinion on just your thoughts, like going through my website and again, your opinion.
Yeah,
If you saw something that I needed to do that I haven't done or something like that.
yeah,
And
got
then
you.
on my blog page too, I was going to ask, on that, it looks as if, and this is probably a coding issue that cannot be changed, but if there's not going to be a picture on there, is there any way to move that up higher so there's not so much space between the title?
Hmm. Greg, what are your thoughts on that? I don't know the answer to that.
It looks fine on the desktop, but when you are on your cell phone, it just looks really off.
It might be so, I'd have to look into that and see what's causing that, if that's, built into the blog theme, or if it's something, is there like a hidden image there that's selected in blog settings or something like that? I can
Yeah,
Mm.
check that out
and then
here.
if you see, like when you go back to the cell phone view, you can see also, I went and highlighted the title and made sure that it was single space, but in the cell phone view, there's such a huge gap between those two. And then the title font size on the cell phone view, the title looks so little. And
Yeah,
you
it doesn't look like it's responding to the screen size. It looks like it's keeping a sort of static size, which is interesting.
Has anyone helped you on support with that? Because I know occasionally we'll like give you some
I
styles to add to your site.
You know what? I have not. So I will do
Okay.
that. I will reach out to them and ask them about helping me make those adjustments. And then speaking of that, I just want to tell you, you have the best support ever. There's no way, not to say that my website looks so spectacular, but like your team is so incredible. Like you have
Thank you.
the best support ever.
Thank you.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
we love our people. So one thing that I am seeing here, and definitely maybe reach out to our team about this sort of space. And I'm even seeing in the formatting here some space that like there may be something that could be done there. But here's one thing, just generally speaking, aside from that, design-wise for your blog, is you see how in this one you've utilized an excerpt where you can read more? I would recommend that you do that for all of them, right? Because right now we're just in your blog
Oh.
digest. And so this most recent post, we aren't encouraging someone to click and go in and explore and read more. everything is just right here, right? And so as you grow with your content, you want to have that sort of, scroll through different ideas, rabbit hole kind of situation. And having everything from a post in the feed like this is going to work against you where that's concerned. So just use the excerpt feature like you did with this one.
Okay, well, I don't know how I did that. I thought I did all of them the same. I literally just like copied and pasted. So I'm not sure how I did those differently.
Yeah, so let's take a quick look. I think, yeah, this is the life after death one that you created. So you have a featured image, which is great. Down here, you have show excerpt. And then you've
Okay.
got this brief little bit here. And then the difference is in this one, if we go down and see, you do have a featured image, which is great. But if we go down here, we don't have show excerpt and you don't have an excerpt here. So that's really all you
Okay.
need to do is just pop an excerpt in here and click show excerpt, and then it's going to show up like this one did.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay. So let's see. I love the use of shadow here. Ooh. I would add a little bit more padding to this section so that you've got a little bit more of this sort of rainbow space at the top and bottom, especially as you're looking at like the
Okay.
connection to your footer. I would just kind of give it just a little bit more at the top and bottom. But I love the colors. It looks really nice and it's spaced out well. Let's see. You could do a little bit with this section here to kind of draw them in further with more visual interest. So I would see maybe having, if you are going to talk about inner alchemy, I would maybe consider creating a new page on this in the future, because it is something that, probably relates pretty strongly to how you work with your clients. When you do that, these can be sections of pages that have images or animations and things like that that help to draw the eye down. There's nothing wrong with what's here. I think if someone is serious, like they're going to read what's here regardless, but just as an optimization in the future, I would maybe consider having either expanding this out where there's more images and, sort of bells and whistles with the copy, because that's going to encourage people to read. Because we see a big paragraph in our brains, if we aren't fully engaged or we are somewhat distracted, we just squirrel. We don't wind up actually getting in everything that you've put here.
Okay.
Colors are so good. I love it.
I'm so glad. I was so scared because a couple weeks ago when you were talking about like overwhelming colors, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I haven't gone crazy town.
No. I think that you use a good amount of negative space and there's enough contrast, right? So like this light lilac with the black, it's not hard on the eyes. And then you've got a lot of intensity that's happening here, but you can see like the colors call out to each other. Like there's balance here, which is really nice. I am curious, Greg, you see this strobe light show? What is that? Do you see it
Yeah.
around Read the Blog?
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know
Right?
what's going on there.
I'm kind of curious about that. I'm kind of wondering like what would make it do that. I'm sure you didn't mean for that to happen.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, and I guess I just kind of thought I don't know. Maybe I just thought it was my phone or my computer or something.
I'm curious. Yeah, I don't know. That might be something maybe when you when you're shooting an email in about the blog,
Okay.
someone who is better at reading code than me might be able to take a peek at that and see if there's something funny happening.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it on Chrome, not too surprisingly. So I wonder if it's another
Oh,
Safari related issue.
yeah, it's probably just Safari being Safari. Mac has got to be special like that. But yeah, it looks really great. You're doing awesome work.
Okay, yay. That's it. Thank you, you guys. I'll just reach out to support for that other stuff then.
All
I
right, sounds
appreciate you
good.
both. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thanks for coming out. Okay, really quickly, Jean, you said I can't find where you copied the data for the rich pin. Let me go show you that here real quick. Hold on just a second. Let me make sure I am out of her account. You're going to find that in the help article that is linked in the download that I gave you guys. So bear with me just a second, and I'm going to show you where that is. Okay, so back to our checklist here. That's going to be in this article about claiming your website and allowing rich pins. So right down here under adding rich pins, and also just a quick tip, if you ever want to, you can just search Pinterest in the help center, and that'll take you straight to this article as well. So this is where I copied the code, and you can either put that in the analytics section site-wide under customize my site, or you could put it on those individual blog posts. So if you are someone who wants to just include those on the individual blog posts, what I would do is just have this code copied, or you could have an unpublished sort of template blog post that you could copy and use for every blog post that you create. That's actually a really great way to save yourself some time on formatting. If you're using essentially the same visual layout and format every time you create a blog post, you're just swapping out images, swapping out copy, etc. I would actually create a blog post that will serve as a template for your others, and then this script would be down in that section at the bottom, and then it's always there for you. All right, we also have Karen, are you here? If you're not, then the floor is open for anyone who would like a review. If you would like to talk through any strategy, if you would like to see any of this, again, happy to work with you here. Hi, Carla. Let me know, just pop into the chat and let me know if you want to come out. And I could let you out and we can start talking. I do see your hand raised. Hi.
Hi, did I come off of mute?
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, I just have a question. I'm newer to AttractWell, and I am right now, I'm a trainer and a coach, and so I have a bunch of different classes that I want to just like the down and dirty, quick and easy. How do I set up a site where they can just go RSVP and pay for my classes? So I don't need like a whole vault created for some of these because a lot are in person. And I'm just kind of stuck with what is the easiest way, whether it's pages, landing pages, just a little guidance on here's the best way to do it.
Yeah. So are these classes recurring classes?
The topics are reoccurring, but who hires me to come in to do the classes changes. So like dates, locations, things like that change, but the class itself stays the same.
Got you. So you would essentially, depending on who's hiring you, you would be creating maybe a slightly different version of a page so that people are aware of the new date, and maybe you want to tag them for attribution. They came from company A or B, right? Does that sound right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So I would use a page for this. So for the different topics, so say, you do workshop A, B, and C, you create a page for workshop A, and you'll use that as a sort of template for anytime you get hired to teach workshop A. And so workshop A, you would set up as a page in AttractWell. And you would, of course, sell all the merits of it, et cetera, leave a space for the date and time. And then you would want to set up the payment option for it. So however much it is per seat.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would want to, at the very least, have a campaign attached that that just confirms that they have signed up for a workshop, and to maybe look out for a reminder or something like that. But what I would do just generally as a workflow is when you get hired for to teach something like this and you're selling these seats, then what I would do is I would have the page again already sort of created as like a sales page where people can register and they know what they're getting, etc. But I would, again, have a campaign that I would make a copy of every time I needed it and make it date based, right? So are you going to be meeting on Zoom or is this in person?
I do both, so it
Okay.
depends on.
Okay. Yeah. So if the onus is on you for reminding the people who purchased to show up, then I would go ahead and create a campaign that is date based, right? So there's day 0 is
Okay.
always going to be confirmation you did it, glad to have you, and then you would have your day 1 campaign would maybe go out the day before the actual event. So just a reminder, our thing is tomorrow. And then the day 2 would be we're live in an hour if it's on Zoom, and maybe you have the Zoom link in that email, right? So the
Yep.
page you would use over and over again, but you would make
Okay.
versions of it, right? So that way they reflect the correct date and time, but all those other details stay the same. And then you would want to make sure. So let's just say, for instance, workshop A, you got hired by company B to do this. So you would have the workshop A, you would make a copy of that page and you would make a new campaign for it so that people get the information they need. Make sure you have a tag on that workshop A copy page that is for company B, right? So this company is where that lead came from, right? You know, like the attribution is there. Does that make sense?
It does. So you're saying like I would just kind of duplicate the page, but have a different page each time. So really there's a different URL or link that they go to. But then that way I have individual tags.
Yeah. That is how I would do it. If attribution doesn't matter, then I mean you're still going to have to, like, if these are date sensitive things and you're collecting payment for an event on a certain date at a certain time, it's kind of hard to avoid the need to, like, you know, kind of create those new resources. Now, if you're only ever going to be offering this particular workshop at this, you know, for this particular group or something like that, like you're not going to be offering workshop A to company A, B, and C, like 3 companies at the same time, then in that case, you might keep a static workshop A page. You just go in and update what's attached to it. It really just depends on how it's being shared. But, you know, if it's not something that is intended to retain like recurring access for the people that it's shared with, then you would want to be making copies of it for those different instances. You just wouldn't have to redesign it every time you need one because you can just make a copy.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay, can you demonstrate a repin? Okay. Deep breath. This is not something that I know how to do very well. My understanding, the best way to do this, a repin is something that you typically do, like an actual, like what a repin is if you're just a regular Pinterest user, not a Pinterest for business user. Somebody else pins something, you can hover over that and there's an option to repin it to a board of yours. Repinning, the way I'm describing, is essentially creating a brand new pin, just linking to someone else's content, right? So you could follow the steps that I shared previously, popping in a link, maybe an image from their website, maybe populate some of their copy, etc., so that you can pin that to a board of your own. Or you could take the smarter move, which would be to get a browser extension. So just look for Pinterest browser extensions for the browsers that you use. And then you can actually find any image on a website, and that will help you create that sort of repin, right? I don't know that, because I don't have a browser extension plugged in, I don't have like a best way to show you how to do that right now. But really that, or what I've already shared, which is, again, taking the URL, in this case, it would be from a website other than yours. So it'd be somebody else's blog post, taking an image again from that person's blog post, and then popping in the copy that you want to use. And the benefit here is that you get to modify that copy to be, you know, centered around your own keywords, etc., that you would want to place on your board. And yes, there are definitely YouTube videos about that for sure. Okay. Jean says, if I go back and add the rich pin to my published post, can I just save it, or do I need to republish? That's a really good question. Greg, do you know the answer to that? So if you were to go into the like the analytics section of like an individual blog post and put that rich pin information in, would the post need to be republished, or can you just save your changes, or is that one in the same if it's a post that's already been published?
If it's already published and you just go save it, it would just tack that code on the bottom, and so it wouldn't really like republish it or change the date or anything like that. So it'd be pretty safe to go in there and put that on there. If you put it on site-wide under the website analytics, then it would just show up everywhere, basically, without having to go save all the blog posts.
Yeah, here I just said I said save changes. So I think that like if you're going to republish something, then you actually, can go in here and change like the date, right? The created date, the publish later date, etc. You can unpublish this and then make changes, but yeah, it's just a matter of a quick save. Okay, let's see. Blaga says, is there a way to send a PDF or copy the lead generation forms, like so I can share it with my coach instead of rewriting? Send a PDF copy of the lead. Oh, Blaga, are you talking about the output, right? So if somebody inputs their information on a form, you want to be able to save their responses? Is that what you mean by that? If so, that is a wish list item for us, but it's yeah, and you want to have a copy of them. Yeah, so that's a wish list item for us. It's not something, so those are things that are in your past actions. And to my knowledge, Greg, we don't have like a simple export feature for that as of this moment, right?
Not for the past actions, but I mean, there's a couple things come to mind. So number one, you get an email. I mean, you can turn it off, I suppose, but by default, you get an email whenever there's a new lead that comes in. And you could set up an email filter to automatically forward it to somebody else if you wanted to. Another option that comes to mind is we have Zapier integration. So you would be able to take the lead generation forms and then like put them on a Google Sheet or something like that. Or anywhere, plug it into any other app that exists out there in the Zapier ecosystem, including Gmail. I think that is one of the options you could actually format and send an email through Zapier automatically triggered based on that. And I know they've recently changed their plans, so I don't know how free their free plan is anymore, but I know they do have something free in Zapier that might work if your volume is relatively low.
There are also, just to tack on to that, when you receive an email, or actually when you have someone complete a form on your AttractWell site, you do receive an email if you've opted to receive emails when someone fills out that form. There are free, or I think it's still free, IFTT, if this then that, and different like automating softwares that you can plug into like a Gmail, for instance, if you are receiving your AttractWell emails via Gmail or maybe another platform. You can use that so that when you get an email that is called this, and it's going to be the name of your page, a new lead from your AttractWell system, and there's like the name of your page, and inside the body of that email, it's going to have all of those answers. So you can actually, utilize that sort of third-party technology to export as well. And that would even be outside of Zapier. Okay, Robert, what's the benefit of repinning someone else's content to your business board? Is it to vary your board's content for additional content to your boards for traffic algorithm? Is that a best practice suggested or more of any optional play? All right, so Robert, thank you for this question. It's a really good question because it seems kind of counterintuitive, right? Because we're doing this so that we can get traffic to our site. It's not something as you get further along in your posting strategy and you're kind of finding the groove of what's really working for you and the algorithm is responding favorably, it's something that you're going to do less and less of. In the beginning, it makes a lot of sense for you to use other people's content to train the algorithm to associate you, your boards, and your pins with the correct keywords and audiences that they're trying to deliver to. And so your cheat code to getting there is identifying popular pins, popular Pinterest accounts, popular boards, etc., finding content that's doing really well on those and repinning those the way that I described to your own boards so that Pinterest's algorithm can start seeing, oh, here's this content and here's yours, this content together. These go together. People who like this will also like this. That's kind of the gist, right? In the beginning, it's going to be a lot more helpful for you to do that, and you're going to have less of a need to do it over time. And it is in some ways to kind of fill out your board's content, but the more important function there is really to train the algorithm to associate you with already successful Pinterest accounts and content sources. I hope that that makes sense. Okay, it does. Good. All right, fantastic. Thank you guys for so many fantastic questions. I hope I didn't miss anything. Really excited for you guys to get out there and start doing this. Let us know how it goes for you. Quick story, our friend Paula, who uses our other platform, she is a retired pastor and she has got a hobby of sewing. She has a sewing pattern for clergy stoles, and she created a blog post about that. And she started pinning about that one blog post 3 years ago. And over the years, she has really kind of modified how she has collected leads. At the beginning, she wasn't even really collecting leads intentionally. She was just getting loads of traffic and click-throughs. But then, you know, she was initially putting them into a community. And now what she's doing is she's got this great blog post. It's got a video. She's talking through things. It would be a very satisfying read to somebody who is interested in that particular niche topic. But she took it one step further and, hey, if you want my pattern, I'll give it to you for free. All you have to do is go here. And so she takes them over to a page in AttractWell, and she actually has a slightly complicated form. It's not just put your name and email in here. She's asking them questions, and she is pretty quickly moving people who respond, which is a lot of them, off to a consult with her. And so, you know, basically her feedback today was, I wish I knew all of these things when I first started doing that, because think of all of this traffic that's been coming my way over the years just on this one post. But now what's happening is that she is getting those visitors, and the right ones are showing up. She's following up with them. She's got saved replies for them based on where they live, because they're coming in from all over the world, and she works with them differently based on where they are. And now they're actually converting to new business, which is really exciting. So just a quick confirmation that this is stuff that works, even if you aren't doing it absolutely perfectly from the get-go. So I hope you get out there and get this done, and let us know what you want to learn next. We may create a training like this just for you. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great week, everybody.